Council of Floresville special meeting today, May 15th at 6 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you would please rise and stand and join me in the invocation. Dear Father, we come to you tonight with hearts that want to do what is best for the city of Floresville. Help us, guide us, protect us, and show us what you would have us to do. It is all in your hands, and we give it all to you. We thank you in the Lord Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the text of the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. In attendance tonight, we do have a quorum. In attendance, Councilman David Johns, Councilwoman Gloria Cantu, myself, Mayor Sissy Gonzalez-Dipple, we have Councilman Jacob Silva, and Councilman Nick Neeson. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'm going to allow citizens' comments. We ask for 5 minutes, and when you come up to the podium, if you would state your name. I do have a timer, and we thank you for your cooperation. So anybody with citizens' comments?
Can you hear me all right? Mike clear? Mayor, Council, Fred Gonzalez, Floresville. I'm not privy to the reasons the police officers' training was canceled, so I can't speak to that. However, as a citizen, I'm very concerned about the consequences of that action. As you know, a major portion of the police officers' training is not discretionary. As an example, we have the training required by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, which is required to maintain proper licensing. As I understand, failure to meet course attendance requirements within a given period of time will result in timely suspension of license. I'm told we have a number of officers whose time to complete this requirement is coming up very soon, I believe in August, which means that their failure to meet this time-sensitive requirement will result in them not being able to execute their primary duties. Also, it takes significant lead time to schedule or reschedule this very much in demand courses. As a citizen, I'm very concerned that cancellation of this training can result in significant crippling of our crime prevention / suppression efforts. And for how long? Therefore, I ask you to reconsider and vote to reinstate the already scheduled training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Anyone else with citizens' comments?
Good evening, Your Honor, members of City Council. My name is Robert Leonard. I am the Assistant General Counsel for the Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas, commonly referred to as CLEAT. We are the statewide labor organization that represents the men and women of the Floresville Police Department. And I'm here this evening to discuss with you a very troubling issue that has been brought to our attention, and that is the sudden and unexplained cancellation of all training for the members of the Floresville Police Department. As the gentleman who just preceded me so elegantly put, there is a state requirement that officers be up to date and current on all of their state required training. Not only does this make the officers most proficient in the performance of their duties, it also affords the citizens of Floresville with the most experienced and educated officers that they are paying for. It is their tax dollars that are funding these officers, and the citizens have a right to have the most experienced and well-trained police departments that they can have. By denying these officers their training, their required training, not only is the council denying the citizens of Floresville the most experienced and well-trained police department that they can have, but it also opens the city for potential litigation problems. By denying the police officers the most current and up-to-date training, you expose the city and its citizens, its taxpayers, to potential litigation, because if there's an incident and this training would have helped to make an outcome different than what we had, that's going to be raised during the litigation. there's no excuse for not allowing these officers to have the training that they are entitled to, that the law says that they are required to have. This isn't frivolous training. This isn't excessive training. This is not in excess of what they are required to have. This is mandated by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, that they are required to have this training in order for them to be licensed and certified peace officers in the state of Texas. We understand that there has been an ongoing process with an outside consultant, a Dr. Robert Taylor, who has been retained by the city at quite an exorbitant cost to the taxpayers, where Mr. Taylor, or I should say Dr. Taylor, is being asked to evaluate the Floresville Police Department, and he's, I guess, been asked to find cost savings and more proficient models of efficiency to help the department run better. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that a witch hunt by any other name is still a witch hunt. This audit was being brought in so that the department, the chief in particular, could be made to look bad to the citizens of Floresville. It's unprecedented that a department of this size would spend nearly $40,000 to have an outside expert come in and try to pick apart the little things that they do in order to be able to say that they could save this city, these citizens, tax-paying citizens, the $40,000 or nearly $40,000 that are being spent on this audit. I ask that you reinstate the training that these officers are required to have, and we ask that they be given the support and the backing of this council as they receive from the citizens every day. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments at this time?
I have some. Well, I didn't know that recommendations from the counselor were in. It is so sad that I had to hear it from people that saw it in social media. That's how I found out about it. So that's why, I want to know what the rest of the council knows. And I feel like that the police department is being crippled because of the elimination of the training. And not only the police department, but the citizens of Floresville as well.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Mario Morones, I have a question. Did y'all ever figure out where y'all were going to get those $36,000 from? I know that the last meeting I came to, y'all said that you already know where you were going to get it from. Y'all were going to get it from the council budget, and then it went back and forth, and did y'all figure out where the money was coming from?
Yes.
And also, Mr. Nissan, this consultant that the police department has, is a good friend of yours, yes or no? Don't know him at all? No. Thank you. So, are we gonna know about where the money came from, or we're not gonna answer that?
Well, really, they can't respond at all because it's citizens' comments, but
Mayor, Council, I'm just here to address, since this audit, this consultant came in, consulted, Mr. Silva went on air to say audit. When I spoke to the gentleman, he said he was a consultant. Because of this issue, the training issue, and this other, rumors that are going around social media, going around town, we've already had 4 officers apply somewhere else. These are 4 officers that we trained here in Florida. Good officers that go out and make a difference every day. Because of all this nonsense, they're seeking employment elsewhere. And that would be a terrible thing for us to use. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Okay, moving on to new business. I'd actually like to move item 2 to number 1 and 1 to number 2. We do have, and correct me, Mr. Hug, we do have a statement in regards to a preliminary report from Mr. Taylor and his company.
Yep, so what you have before you is, after the meeting was called, I spoke to the committee, I spoke to the city manager, and I called Dr. Taylor to try to verify what was being told to me, what he said. I put that in writing for the council, and I believe that the committee has looked it over and says that that is accurate to what they discussed with the consultant on that.
Right. So I will be reading that to you. Preliminary updates from the police consultant to the committee and to the city manager. First, number 1, equipment issues. Buildings should be updated to correct some basic issues relating to maintenance and accessibility and security. Includes modernizing secured property evidence room. Some improvements are planned already as part of the city hall renovations. Also, the radio system is inadequate. Discussion with sheriff on potentially piggybanking on Wilson County digital radio system from current analog, as they are available bandwidth, would require approval of sheriff and county commissioners. Going into an internal investigation issues. Dr. Taylor received conflicting stories from members of the Floresville Police Department as to discipline issued and process procedure. As a specific example, an officer alleged he was told he was being recommended for suspension due to an internal investigation, but raised an issue with it relating to the merits and the reasons for the suspension. As to the recommendation, suspension was withdrawn. When Dr. Taylor asked leadership about the matter, he was told that no discipline had been proposed. Also, there is no coordinated disciplinary process that is applied equally and inevitably to all officers. Each internal investigation is handled differently, and the process for each disciplinary proceeding is as well. There is no created standardized process in place to handle disciplinary matters or standardized discipline for alleged infractions. Also, consultant could find no records of any internal investigations, would see comments in reports but no records about investigations being conducted. According to personnel issues, there are clear and division factions within the Floresville Police Department. The cliques established caused a certain degree of discord among the officers. They are divided among personal loyalty lines. Also, personnel files are an issue due to records being maintained in a haphazard manner instead of one organized, consolidated place. This makes keeping track of training discipline and other matters difficult. General record keeping is deficient. Dr. Taylor could not find any records of specific ongoing training programs to keep training up to date and timely, and only things in the records were certificates. Also, management of time off and sick days for employees is a concern. It appears that some individuals have utilized more time off and sick days than earned while still receiving full pay. Other administrative records keeping is deficient. Also, verification of training, education, and accreditation is lacking. Individuals who claim credits that result in pay evaluation do not have the claimed certificates or education verified through a consistent and equal process. Physical fitness standards are relaxed to accommodate previously unfit officers. And concerns about use of occupational license to operate city-owned vehicles and equipment. Potential questions concerning compliance with occupational license order and statute. And when it comes to educational issues, the issues indicate that the chief lacks certain leadership skills and educational foundations necessary to prevent matters such as the above. Also, personnel in the department do not have consistent training and retentions of items learned in training. This is the preliminary report that the committee got from Mr. Taylor. I know that the public had been wanting information.
Madam
Was that an oral or a written report?
It was an oral report. I've spoken to the committee members and kind of typed down what they had told me. And then to verify, I called Dr. Taylor, and shortly before the meeting today, he got back to me and told me this is what I can talk to them
I'm sorry,
about.
Chris, who told you? Who told you?
The committee originally gave me the notes, and
Which
then
was Lisa, Miss?
Myself and Lisa.
Councilman Nixon. And then these are the issues that are for open session. There are some that I need to discuss, but those will have to be done in executive session.
Can I take citizens' comments at this point?
We can adjourn into executive session to discuss the rest, or
Okay.
we can adjourn into, sorry, for Monica for records. We can adjourn into executive session to discuss the rest, or move, that's up to you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Item 2A, pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. It's a consultation with our attorney regarding preliminary updates from police consultant and recommendations from the committee to the full council. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Jacob Silva. Do I have a second?
I'll make the second.
I have a second. All those in favor to go into executive session, please raise your right hand. Thank you. There you go.
Time, Mayor, can you say the time?
Oh, I'm sorry. 6:18.